Hi everyone! In today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet this adorable sensory toy frog. What makes him special is his interactive slide and stretch design. For this project I'm using yarn in 4 different colors with a weight of about 3.5 to 4 millimeters. I'll be using a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook to keep the stitches nice and tight. We're going to start with the frog's body. Grab your yellow yarn and let's begin by making a foundation chain of 15 stitches. Once you have 15, add 1 extra chain. That's our turning chain. For row 1, work 1 single crochet into each of the 15 chains across. When you reach the end, chain 1 and turn your work. Now for rows 2 and 3, simply repeat the process. 15 single crochets across, followed by a turning chain. In row 4, we'll continue with our 15 single crochets, but pay close attention to the very last stitch. To get a perfectly seamless color transition to green, don't finish the last stitch with yellow. Instead, drop the yellow yarn and pull the green thread through the last 2 loops on your hook to finish the stitch. Now we're ready for the green section. From row 5 all the way to row 16, we'll stay with the green yarn. Just keep working 15 single crochets in each row, always adding that turning chain at the end of every row. Now let's give our frog his head shape by doing some decreases. In row 17, we're going to skip the very first stitch and work 13 single crochets, meaning we'll also skip the last stitch of the row, which leaves us with a total of 13 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. Row 18 is a simple row of 13 single crochets. Again, chain 1 and turn. For row 19, we'll decrease again. Skip the first stitch, work 11 single crochets across and skip the last stitch. You should now have 11 stitches left. Chain 1 and turn. Finally, in row 20, work 11 single crochets across, fasten off, and you're done with the first body panel. Remember, you'll need 2 of these panels for the final assembly. Now let's move on to the most important part of this project, the eye and leg unit. We're going to crochet the eye, the leg and the foot all in one piece, which later builds the sliding mechanism. For this pattern, we aren't working in continuous spirals. Instead, we're going to close every round. To do this, finish each round with a slip stitch into the first stitch of that round and then a chain. We'll start at the top with the eye. In green, begin with a magic ring and work 6 single crochets into it. Finish with a slip stitch into the first single crochet and a chain. For round 2, we're going to double our stitches by working an increase in every stitch around, also in the one we just used for closing the round. giving us a total of 12. Slip stitch and chain. In round 3, the pattern is 1 single crochet, then 1 increase. Repeat this all the way around for 18 stitches. Slip stitch and chain. Now for rounds 4 and 5, simply work 18 single crochets, 1 in each stitch around, always ending with a slip stitch and a chain. In round 6, we start closing the eye. Work 1 single crochet, then 1 decrease, meaning we're going to combine 2 stitches into 1. It's very simple. Insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Now insert your hook into the following stitch as well and pull up another loop. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops at once. Repeat the pattern of 1 single crochet and 1 decrease all the way around until you have 12 stitches left. Close the round with a slip stitch and a chain. Now is the perfect time to stuff the eye with fiber fill. Make sure it's nice and firm. For round 7, decrease in every stitch until you back down to 6 stitches. Close the round with a slip stitch and a chain. Don't fasten off. We're moving straight into the leg. We're working continuous rounds of 6 single crochets, meaning we will not close every round as before. We just keep crocheting single crochets after single crochets. Keep going until the leg reaches your desired length. I like to make mine about twice as long as my body. Once you're happy with the length, finish the last round with a slip stitch and switch to your yellow yarn before starting the chain for the foot. For the foot, we want a nice flat shape rather than a round one. To achieve this, we'll place our increases only at the edges. In round 1, work 2 single crochets, then an increase. Repeat that twice for 8 stitches. In round 2, work 3 single crochets and an increase. Repeat twice for 10 stitches. Continue this pattern for rounds 3, 4 and 5, increasing by 2 stitches each round until you reach 16 stitches. Add a little bit of fiber fill into the foot to give it some shape, but keep it relatively flat. Fasten off, leaving a long yarn tail. We'll use this tail to sew the opening shut and create a clean finish. Repeat this entire process one more time so you have 2 identical eye-leg units. Now it's time to give our frog some personality. We're going to crochet the white part of the eye. For the white eye disc, we'll start with a magic ring. Leave a long tail with the magic ring for sewing the pieces together later. Work 6 single crochets into the ring. Just like before, close the round with a slip stitch into the first stitch and fasten off. To give our frog that cool comic style look, we're going to embroider an X onto the white circle. Take a piece of black yarn and a needle. Simply sew 2 diagonal lines across the center to form the X. Once your X is finished, it's time to assemble. Take the white pupil and place it onto the front of the green eye part we made earlier. Using the white yarn tail, sew it firmly onto the green sphere. Try to center it as much as possible to give him a symmetrical look. Repeat this for the second eye and there you go! Next up, we're going to crochet the arms. We'll start with the green yarn from the arm itself and then switch to the yellow for the hands. Start with a magic ring, leave a longer tail to connect the parts later. Work 6 single crochets into it. Here's a little tip. Do not pull the ring completely tight. Close the round with a slip stitch and a chain. For rounds 2 and 3, simply work 6 single crochets around. This creates the thin part of the arm. Remember to finish each round with a slip stitch and a chain. In the very last stitch of round 3, we're going to change our color to yellow, just like we did with the foot. Pull the yellow yarn through the loop to make the chain. Now we're ready for the hand. It's the same as with the foot, just shorter. In round 4, we're going to increase our stitch count from 6 to 8. To do this, work 2 single crochets followed by an increase, and repeat that twice. Close with a slip stitch and a chain. For round 5, we'll increase one more time to reach 10 stitches. This time, work 3 single crochets and then an increase, repeat twice. And for round 6, we'll increase one more time to reach 12 stitches. This time, work 4 single crochets and then an increase. Repeat twice. This gives the hand a nice slightly wider shape. To finish the arm, flatten the yellow hand part, fasten off, leaving a long yarn tail. Now use your needle to sew the opening shut across the top. This creates a flat palm for our frog. Repeat this whole process for the second arm and you're ready for the final assembly. Before we join everything together, we need to give our frog some volume. To do this, we're going to create a little fabric inlay for both body panels. Grab some fabric scraps, any soft material will do. We need to cut 2 pieces to fit our body panels. A little tip, make sure the fabric is slightly smaller than the crocheted body. We need to leave the edge stitches free because we'll be crocheting through them later to close the frog. If the fabric covers the holes at the edge, it will be very difficult to finish. Now place one fabric piece onto the inside of a body panel. Using a needle and any thread, sew them together on 3 sides, take some fiber fill and stuff the pocket until it has a nice even volume. Don't overstuff it. We want him to stay relatively flat but soft. Once you're happy with the feel, sew the 4th side shut to seal the stuffing inside. Repeat this exact process for the second body panel. Now both halves of our frog are padded and ready for the final assembly. And before I forget, one of our body panels needs a mouth. We're going to use a simple running stitch to embroider any mouth you want. You can get creative. Ideally do this before padding both pieces. It's just easier that way. It's finally time to put everything together. This is where a frog truly comes to life. Grab your 2 body panels, the arms and those long eye-leg units. First, place the 2 body panels together with the fabric sides facing each other. Now, take the arms and sew them firmly between the layers at the sides. Important tip, don't sew them too close to the very edge. We need enough room to crochet around them later. These arms stay fixed in place, but now slip your eye-leg pieces in between the panels as well. These will stay loose so they can slide back and forth. To join the body, we're going to crochet around the entire edge using single crochets. To keep the corners nice and rounded, work 2 to 3 single crochets into each corner stitch. Here is how we create the sliding gaps. When you reach the positions of the eyes and legs, crochet into the back panel only. This leaves the front panel open, creating a sturdy pocket for the limbs to move through. Also for the arms, only go through the back panels. For all other parts of the edge, crochet through both layers to seal the body. Once you've made it all the way around, fasten off and weave in those ends for a clean finish. The final touch is adding some character. Use a bit of green yarn to embroider a simple V shape onto each hand and foot. It's a small detail that really completes the look. And there you go! Your sensory slide and stretch frog is complete. It's a great project for anyone who loves tactile functional crochet. Happy crocheting and thanks for watching!